Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And a couple of weeks ago I did a future decade of Thorpe Park Resort video, and you guys seem to really like that video. So I thought in today's video I would go and do the future decade at Alton Towers Resort. Now if you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure to go down below and comment whether or not you want me to do more of these, because obviously I could do these for any park. I could do this for Legoland, Chessington, so just let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and yeah, I'll make sure to try and make some more of these. So pretty much, if you don't know how this works, what I'm going to do is, instead of going through the decade year by year, I'm going to collectively look at it when I think there's going to be attractions, because there's not always going to be something that's going to be happening every year at a park. Obviously they kind of have them breather years sometimes. Like I said, I did explain some of this in my last video, but for people that haven't seen it, pretty much, for example, say if I thought Secret Weapon 9 was going to be coming in 2024, I'd kind of class that as 2022 to 2024, 2023 to 2024, because obviously the construction will span over that time, and it kind of just groups it all together to kind of make it a little bit more of a fluid kind of experience. So yeah, with all that said, let's get into the actual video. Just quickly before this video starts, I know I've probably done this in pretty much every single one of my videos recently, but I do want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you guys who has subscribed in the recent couple of weeks, because seriously, I can't thank you guys enough. I went literally from having 90 subs in December to now having like 367 subs, which is absolutely mental. So thank you again for like the 60th time. So yeah, let's get into the actual video now. Okay, so first of all then, we're going to be taking a look at 2021. Now obviously Alton Towers in the recent years have had some quite good track records. Obviously we had Wicker Man in 2018, 2019 we got the Alton Towers Dungeons, and obviously this year we're getting the World of David Williams. So it's safe to assume something might be going on next year. We don't really know what, but obviously, like I said, considering what's been happening over the last couple of years, Alton Towers has been seen as being quite consistent. However, I feel if they are planning to start production for Secret Weapon 9, which I'll get onto obviously in a little bit, I feel like they may need to have sort of like a breather year, I kind of call it in these videos, and that's pretty much a year where they kind of take a gap just to kind of get that income in, not spend too much money, because obviously they're saving up for a large scale attraction. They're not going to try and waste that money away, you know, straight away. They obviously want to save it for that big large scale attraction, but in terms of what I could potentially be seeing coming next year, it's actually a potential kind of addition to the Alton Towers Dungeons. Now this kind of plays into two effects. Either they get rid of the Alton Towers Dungeons in 2021, you know, regarding whether or not this is actually kind of a permanent attraction, because obviously now with the World of David Williams literally right opposite, if they do want to incorporate that whole ride system and everything into a David Williams ride, I can potentially see them getting rid of it. Like I said, it depends what their plans are for, you know, keeping it. But if they are to keep it and they are quite kind of dead set on it being long term, then I can potentially see them, it may be getting a little addition. Obviously, if you've ever been on the dungeons before, if you've never really known anything about it, pretty much at the end of most of them, there is kind of like a little mini drop tower. So potentially they could add some of that in there if it is getting a lot more successful over the years. But yeah, other than that, other than some minor changes around restaurants and stuff, I don't really think too much could be coming in 2021. Okay, so heading on into 2022 to 2023 or 4 now, I'm actually predicting this to be Secret Weapon 9. Now a lot of you out there may be thinking that I'm crazy right now because we literally got Wicker Man about 2 years ago. But like I said earlier, considering Alton Towers' track record now, they're pumping out attractions very quickly. Obviously after the Smiler crash in 2015, I think it was, obviously they were in a bit of difficulty, you know, financially, because obviously not too many people wanted to come to their park. They were losing quite a lot of money, and SW8 was the one to bring that back. Obviously Wicker Man really was a massive success for Alton Towers. So obviously now that they're kind of getting back in the flow of things and, you know, releasing things every year, even releasing more attractions than Thorpe Park. So yeah, they've got that going for them. So I can potentially see maybe Secret Weapon 9 coming a lot earlier than we think. Now I did actually make a video talking about Secret Weapon 9, I think last week, so definitely go check that out if you want to kind of see that a little bit more in detail. But obviously the reason why I'm kind of ranging this from 2022 to maybe 2023 or 2024 is obviously because they're going to have quite a lot of construction. If you don't really know how construction really works at these parks, pretty much what happens is, well, let's take Wicker Man for example. Obviously in the end of 2016, around the Christmas period, they started doing groundwork. They announced it was happening, obviously all the plans came out, and then over the 2017 season, obviously we've got a bunch of construction. I'm pretty sure in March 2017 the first piece of wood was actually laid on the site. So yeah, it would take a good maybe year and a bit to make, depending on how large scale these attractions are and how much theming they're going to have. But yeah, potentially this could be where Secret Weapon 9 is. But like I said, I have made a video on that, so I'm not going to dwindle on that too much, and let's get into 2025. Okay, so moving into 2025, then I'm kind of going to regard this as their breather year. And then, like I said earlier on in the video, basically breather years for me is pretty much a gap in between two major attractions, you know, where they're trying to collect the money, trying to just kind of recuperate after what happened the previous year. But however, there's one thing to take into account for this, and that is actually the Alton Towers Dungeons. Not is it as an attraction, but it as when it was kind of released. Now, obviously, after 2018, Wickerman's success brought in a ton of money for Alton Towers, and obviously after that, they kind of wanted to invest in something semi-big. I mean, I wouldn't really class the Alton Towers Dungeons as a huge sort of addition, at least not on the level of something like the World of David Walliams, or even like Secret Weapon 9 or something like that. However, it just goes to show that if a company or a theme park does make enough money from a large-scale attraction, they can maybe potentially kind of add a smaller scale attraction coming in maybe the year after. I've always kind of compared this to The Walking Dead, the ride over at Thorpe Park. Yes, this wasn't after a major attraction, however, it's got a very, very similar style in it, in which it was kind of just a refurb of something that was already sitting there, except Thorpe Park didn't have a major coaster beforehand. Oh my god. Okay, so all jokes aside, in 2025, I could actually potentially see maybe a smaller scale kind of dark ride potentially. Obviously, you know, Merlin have really started to like incorporate and move their attractions around their different parks. Obviously, Chessington's attraction, or their new area that's coming this year, is actually going to be, you know, having or housing a brand new log flume. But obviously, this was transported from a sea life somewhere. I don't exactly know where, but I think it is pretty local to here. So yeah, potentially something like this could happen. You know, small scale kind of flat rides, something like that, being transported between parks, because that does seem to be happening a lot more now. Even then, I could potentially see possibly kind of maybe an actual dark ride. Obviously, there are many places for this to kind of go. Obviously, you have the old Subterra building, obviously where Project 42 stands at the moment. I can't really see Project 42 lasting all the way till 2025, as much as good made as a lot of people are, you know, making that to be. Obviously, attractions do have to dwindle and, you know, leave the park at some stage. However, yeah, there is quite a big kind of section of opportunity here for Alton Towers to actually potentially build quite a good kind of small investment for the park. Okay, so moving into 2026, then I can actually see something extremely similar happening here. Obviously, like I said, after a large-scale investment, you do have to kind of, you know, tone it down a little bit, just in case you spend too much money and you get out of control, and then obviously that will delay the big new investment that could be coming in a couple of years afterwards. So potentially I could be seeing some changes roughly around the park, maybe some new additions to something like CBeebies Land, because obviously we've seen them kind of slowly add stuff like that in over the last couple of years. Obviously this year, or no, actually no, it's not 2019 anymore. Last year, we did actually see the Peter Rabbit attraction come into CBeebies Land, so they are kind of gradually expanding it a little bit. And I could actually potentially see at some point Spinball Wizard actually being incorporated into CBeebies Land for an attraction, because obviously it's getting dangerously close to that area and it kind of feels a little bit out of place. So something like that could potentially be rethemed either in 2026, the year before, or potentially even earlier than that. I'm not sure. I don't work at Alton Towers, so don't, you know, take everything I say literally. But anyway, yeah, something like that could easily happen. Maybe a new restaurant somewhere. Obviously, you know, the last major restaurant we got at the park was actually the roller coaster restaurant. So maybe seeing something on that kind of scale could be pretty cool for the park to do. So yeah, 2026, can't really see too much happening until we actually roll on into some of the later stages of the decade. Okay, so moving into 2027 then, I actually kind of think this will be another breather year for Alton Towers, plainly because obviously after having a major coaster, especially if it's a grand scale coaster, obviously when you put Wickerman into perspective, the reason why it cost so much money was probably the theming. However, obviously the ride itself, the layout isn't actually too interesting. Obviously it's really the theming, excuse me, that really makes that ride. So yeah, potentially if they are going to go for a massive large scale thing for Secret Weapon 9, I can see there maybe being 3 breather years. In terms of what could be coming, I've actually got no clue. Potentially, that, like I said just a minute ago, potentially Spinball Wizard could be themed to CBeebies Land in some way. Oh my god, excuse me. I'm not really sure how, whether there's any actual kind of connections that they could do with CBeebies, because yeah, I'm not a very fond person to watch CBeebies in my, you know, spare time. But yeah, potentially something like that could happen in 2027 as kind of an extra little gap in between the two big investments. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to be talking about in today's video is actually going to be ranging from 2028 to potentially 2030 possibly. I know I made a little bit of a mistake in my Thorpe Park one where I actually classed 2030 as an actual part of the decade. Obviously it's not, it ends at 2029. However, you'll understand what I mean in just a second. Now potentially, could we be seeing another large scale investment here? And I'm not necessarily speaking of a coaster here. Could we potentially be seeing a brand new large-scale dark ride? Now, we need more of these in the UK because we're not really getting enough of them. Generally, dark rides don't cost as much and don't usually take as long to create, so potentially only a couple of years would be needed for this. Maybe an extra one, like I said, if need be, or it could run into the 2027 season. But yeah, if you don't know what dark ride is, pretty much, if you think of like Hex at Alton Towers, Haunted House Monster Party over at Legoland, stuff like that, they are classed as dark rides. So potentially something like this could really spice up the park a little bit. Obviously, you know, mainly people think of large-scale investments at this park as, you know, secret weapons. However, if they did make a massive large-scale dark ride, yeah, I think it could be a really good twist for the park itself. Now, in terms of where it could go, like I said, I've used the Nemesis Subterra building quite a bit in this video, but I do think it is a very, very reliable space for something like this to happen. Potentially, we could even be seeing something along the lines of Nemesis Subterra returning, potentially in an even bigger manner, or maybe even something to do with Phalanx itself in, obviously, Forbidden Valley, because I am actually really interested in the whole lore for Nemesis, and I think the people that didn't really like Subterra didn't really get, you know, a chance to, like, enjoy the ride and properly appreciate for what it was. I know a lot of people out there will say, oh, well, I did appreciate kind of the whole lore of it, but kind of the way they were kind of going for it, they wanted it to be enjoyable as well as enjoying the lore as well. So potentially something like this could kind of bring that back for Alton Towers. So yeah, I'm not going to run into 2030 this year, not this year, this video, because yeah, I'm not going to mess up this time. So that will be the end of today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Definitely let me know any of your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll try to reply to as many as I can. So without further ado, I will see you guys later.